Council. Recording of the meeting. In accordance with the Local Government Meeting Procedures Regulation 2015, the public is advised that the proceedings of the meeting of Council will be recorded on digital media to assist in the preparation of the minutes and to ensure that a true and accurate account of debate and discussions of meeting is available. West Coast Council acknowledges traditional custodians on the land in which we gather today and pay respects to elders past, present and emerging. Item 336 of the agenda is a record of attendance. We've got a approved leave of absence from Councillor Hamer, and I think we've got one for Councillor Ivan Nicky also. Item 337, financial interest declaration. So this time of the meeting, any councillor that has a financial interest in any item on the agenda may declare so now or before discussions at that item on the agenda. Okay, confirmation of the minutes, item 338. Recommendation is that minutes of the ordinary meeting of West Coast Council held at the Council Chambers on Tuesday the 24th of September 2024, a copy of which having been previously circulated to Council prior to the meeting be confirmed as true and accurate record. Someone like to move that way, please. Move Councillor Jordan, second to Councillor McKay. We'll put it to a vote. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Public participation and question times, item 339. So member of the public may ask a question. Please, before you do ask a question, can you give your address and name, please? Any questions from the gallery? Yes, sir.
My name is Peter Watkins, 18 Merchant Street, Rosebery. I've been told that I've only got 2 questions. Well, I actually got 3 questions and a small statement. Is that acceptable?
It is, sir.
Okay, the first one, the statement. The council has let the people down by sending out their notice of the nature strips and then cutting everything off. There's nothing more to be said. What yous have done, most people in Rosebery, I don't know about the rest of the West Coast, but in Rosebery are older people, and then they get a letter from the council and then there's no follow-up on that letter after they send their doctor certificates or whatever they send. They would have appreciated it to be notified that they have received their medical certificate and that the council is reviewing their certificates. And thank you very much for sending them. That's the statement. I don't know what you're going to take away from that, but most of my friends have died in the last 2 years, and that's 13 friends that lived on the coast, and the rest of them are my age. I'm 75, and they're in the same boat as what I'm in, except I used to go to a lot of meetings once. In the job that I was in, I worked for Coal and Minerals, and I've just didn't want to be in this position again. But some of the people knew I went to a lot of meetings and they asked me would I go and put their case forward. Okay, the first thing, questions. 1, I came the other day, you sent me up a person who kept hiding behind policy. I can't answer that, it's policy. I can't answer that, it's policy. Now, that's unacceptable to the public. A lot of councillors today think that we, the public, work for them. Well, it's the other way around. You guys wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for the people coming out to the West Coast and living here. When I came 35 years ago, I took one of these tin huts and I spent 2.5 on it. Those 100,000s, and made up my home. I've had to come to the council a few times, but not to the meetings. to get things done around my place, which were illegal to start with, like French drains. I had to get my solicitor involved in the French drain bit, and yous came up, I think about 3 days later, had a talk to me, and then bang, all the French drains just around my place were gone. You put in pipes and that was it. Okay, I'd like to know, and the people in my area would like to know, when this is going to start. Can anyone give me a time limit there?
With regard to what?
The mowing and the looking after the major strips.
So that was in, this has been ongoing now probably for the last 6 months that we've put out a memo that this was.
That's all we got in our mail, was one little letter.
It's been publicised a fair bit, sir, that we were going to renew the nature strip policy, which we done. We didn't have one before, and we put that out for public comment. So that was some time ago now, and it was going to be rolled out in July this year. So this.
You realise that you are dealing with old people.
Yes, we do, and
especially in Rosebery.
We're fitting in with a lot of other local councils around Tasmania and on the mainland as well. So we're only one of the only councils in Tasmania that used to mow people's nature strips. It was something which other councils around Tasmania, the owner maintained their own nature strips, and were able to use that piece of land for their own benefit as well, which we did state in the communications that we sent out, and have done over the radio communications and also papers as well.
Do you know that have you had legal advice on that?
Yes.
Do you know that there is a very old law stating that if I look after a piece of land for 10 years, that I can make a claim on it? You know that?
If I can interrupt, sorry, I'm Kira, I'm the General Manager here.
Yep.
As the Mayor said, the nature strip policy went out for consultation last year. A decision was made by Council in November last year, and that was communicated, as well as the Mayor said, through social media, radio, notices in the post offices, in the shop fronts. We also, as you're aware, you've received that sent through with the rates notices. We've been having continuous advertisements on the radio as well. I've been doing pop-ups since I've started in the role at the beginning of this year in each of the communities. We've had consultation on the community engagement. A large part of each of those engagements has been discussing these changes with community members. They have been raising it with me, and we've been having these discussions. In terms of the applications for an exemption from that, I apologise, I will go back and have a look at our process. I would have assumed that you would have had an acknowledgement of receipt.
Not since the letter stating that we have to get a doctor's certificate. We've got zilch.
So I understand you put in your application yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, that's because my doctor's on the East Coast. After the Labor shut down our hospital, this is what I said, I wasn't involved in any of this. I've been involved for most of my working life, and my wife said I've had enough, end of story. I've been married 54 years, and she said that's enough, no more. I didn't get involved with the hospital, I didn't get involved with the post office, but I am involved with this now because my health, I had a hyaluronic. I don't know if anyone knows what that is. That's where they take your stomach brain, you cut it in half, and it's gone wrong.
I'm so sorry for that. We do, as I said, we've got a process in place to consider exemptions. We have received your application. We've received a number of applications, and we'll be coming back to people on that. That is, we have that process in place exactly for these reasons. The legal aspect you're talking about is adverse possession. That's a common law, so that can be overridden by legislation and by...
What legislation is that?
Well, I can come back to you on
because I'll have to check
details.
that out with my solicitor.
But every council in Tasmania has the same policy around
Yes.
nature strips.
Every council has beaches, has public transport, has hospitals or enough doctors to go around. We're in the West Coast. When I first came here, I was going to get a job in the mine and everything, and 48 or something like that. They told me I was too old. So I used to come and sit in the office and they'd say, look, Peter, come into the other room, because they didn't want any people knowing about this. You're too old. And I said, well, Tasmania, different rules. I'm born here. I left here when I was 10. I went to the mines and made some money up there. Now, but the point is, I'm getting away from my three little things. The point is, the older people in Rosebery, the mine, I've had dealings with the mine. They got me going once before about their cement works. I went and got a petition, had most of Rosebery on that petition, and they took me up to the cement works and they just explained everything to me properly. The trouble is with councils, big entities and that, just don't explain things to people who matter, who live here. Now, you keep saying about a hospital, the people around other states and that. If those people jumped off a cliff, this council jump off a cliff, it's worked for 35 years, fine, just good. Except when I first come here, the council, the gardening and everything was absolutely beautiful. The lawns, everything. But in the last 12 years, down the drain.
What I can suggest, and I'm happy to continue this discussion here, but it might be useful for me to make a time to speak with you directly and we can work through all of that in
I've got
detail.
people waiting tomorrow. What happened at the meeting, Peter?
So what I would say is,
All I want to know, basically, all I want to know is, one, when is it going to start? Two, are you going to do the brush cutting as well as the mowing? Now, in your little pamphlet, you say that you are going to do the brush cutting. But what does that involve, the brush cutting?
and your third question?
Yep,
That was,
the two of the questions.
okay, so the first question is it started on the 1st of July, so it is already in place.
Why haven't people been told?
They have been told that's the notice
I
that
haven't.
you have. You have,
No, the people in my street have, up the people up in the corners haven't.
so every rates payer got a notice in the mail. It has been continually advertised in the, on the website, on social
Hang on.
media and on the
We
radio.
don't use websites.
Oh,
I haven't even got a mobile phone.
I just
I go
mentioned,
into kitchens.
I just mentioned as well, the news, the supermarkets, the post office, the radio, going out to your direct address on the radio, on the rates notice,
If you
as
sent-
well as the community engagement I'm having
Excuse
with
me,
the
if
community.
you sent a letter out to everyone telling us about it, about the, the nature strips, why couldn't you send a letter out explaining all this? When it's going to start?
That is in
That's-
the
it's
information
in the
that was
information.
provided with the rates notice. So I'm happy to talk you through that information in more.
I haven't seen a rates notice in 35 years, 40 years. My wife does all that.
It comes to each
After
household.
45 years of marriage, everything is allocated. You know what I mean?
So look, I'm happy to make time to meet with you, but in terms of the questions you've asked,
Yep.
it started on the 1st of July.
Can you write that down for me? Because I'm getting old and I have trouble hearing you.
Well, why don't I can send you a letter with the detail if that's the easiest.
Well, you're going to have to send everyone that lives in up area where I live. That would have been really appreciated.
They have all received a letter with
No,
their
they
rates
haven't got
notice.
it. They're coming to me because they haven't heard anything from you.
So I guess,
I don't know if there's been a glitch.
Sorry, I think we're talking about two different things. So the information on the nature strip policy has been provided to every rates payer with the rates notice. the response to the applications for the exemption, we will write to each individual personally.
Yes, that's what the people need.
Yes, that's exactly what we are doing, and that
I
is.
mean, even if you make a
process.
standard letter, you know what a standard letter is?
No, that's exactly what we're doing.
Yeah.
Everything is just put on one sheet and then put through a machine and 500 spit it out. That's a standard letter.
Yeah.
Even if they got that, so they just know what's going on. The last thing is that the people who mow lawns up our area have turned around and used your mowing the lawns as an excuse to whack it up $45. That's why the older people are really peeved about it. Because they used to mow it for $75, and since you've put this out, it's gone up to $115. Now, I don't know, obviously you're not a pensioner, but all the pensioners are on a flat piece of money. They cannot afford an extra $15 or $45. Now, I can only go on the people that I know. I can't go on everyone, because not everyone, I'm not looking at everyone, or people haven't come to me. But the people that have come to me have told me it's all going up to 115. To mow, has anyone seen my place? It's Western Red Cedar in Murchison Street. No one? Well, ask your guys that run around. They used to supply me with poison and everything, because I did a lot of the poisoning and that around my yard when I was fit. But that's all stopped now because I'm unfit, so I don't do it, so they don't supply me with anything. Now, as I said that, I thought to myself, who am I getting into trouble here? But I was working, you know, on council land. I never used it just around my place. But ask your people, the gardeners and that mow the lawns, that used to mow the lawns and that, ask them. My place used to be like a bowling green. It is a tin house that's been turned into a city house. And everything was perfect. I turned no lawns inside, only the nature strip. And they want $145 to mow a nature strip. Okay.
Thank you for bringing your views. As I said, I'll prepare a letter to you with all the detail we've already provided and setting that out. And I'm happy to make time to speak to you after that. And in terms of the process for exemptions, we will be going back to people individually, acknowledging receipt of that and with an answer.
See, what you've got to remember is the people. Don't look at the big picture. Look at who is in the big picture. And then you see the whole picture. Because, like I said, Rosebery is an old town. It's like a giant old people's home. I mean, you must know that from your rates. All right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for raising it.
Thank you.
It's a long time since I've done this, so I'm a bit rusty.
No, I appreciate it.
Yes.
Ronnie Chilcott from Lyle Street, Gormanston. I probably don't so much have a question, but I just would like to make you aware. Okay, our rates have gone up, everyone's whinging and moaning, but hopefully down the track we'll see some really good changes for that. But could you please be aware there is quite a few people moving in up there. At the moment we've just had one come to town and there's about 8 tents. I think it's either a family or a commune. They dress like commune people, so I'd say we've got a commune on our hand. Where, excuse the language, but where are they going to the toilet? Where are they, you know, that probably needs to be policed, because I feel like I'm being charged rates for Sydney Harbour up there. Mine was $2,000 for the year. And you've got a commune down the road. You've got 2 caravans up in the bush, and they're all permanents. They're not just come and goers. These people are there every day and have been for a couple of months. So please, if you could I do work for IGA, you police us for health and safety. If you could do the same in our town, it'd be good. It's not a good look.
It would be really helpful if you're able to share the details with us.
Yep.
Because there's only so much compliance we can do in terms of patrolling the whole of the West
Yeah,
Coast.
I wasn't sure whether to put in a formal complaint or just come and let us know.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. I'll come and, actually for both of you, I'll give you my details and I'm happy to be
Yep.
contacted directly.
Yep.
Because we are able to take action where we are aware of things,
Yeah.
but we're not always aware until someone raises it. So
Yeah.
thank you as well for
Yeah, no, that's
coming
fine.
tonight.
I'm not sure. I mean, you see the council cars going around, but you don't know whether they're actually looking at that or doing maintenance or what. So I just thought I'd come and let you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, they're all, thanks very much.
Thank you. Have some detail? Yep. Yep. No, that's fine, as long as you know about it. Yeah, thank
It's the
you.
one saying.
Are we allowed to go?
Yeah,
Thanks.
thank you.
No.
Maybe through the doors.
Sorry,
Through the double doors there.
Oh, sorry.
Right that way, thank you.
You sure?
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, I do not want to let them go off like politicians, but that far away from me being a politician. Sure, I said no. Okay, thanks very
Do
much.
you know your way out?
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Okay, councillors, item 340 is councillors raised issue and information. We have one question on notice, councillor Graham.
Thank you. So, given the details in the correspondence from the Royal Flying Doctor Service Tasmania, that being that our district will be serviced with a Beechcraft King Air B350 aircraft from January 2026, this aircraft may potentially require additional specification added to our licensed aerodrome in Strawn to accommodate landing. More specifically, the wingspan, weight and takeoff roll of the B350 may exceed the specifications currently required. So I've just written the details down there, and the question is, what are the current specifications applied to the Strawn Aerodrome intend the King Air B350 land, ground manoeuvre and take off within these specifications? And please provide a précis of the width, length, density and current taxiway of any works that may be required at Strawn to safely land, taxi, turn around and take off in a Beechcraft King Air B350. Thank you there.
Thank you, councillor.
How do we go with getting some detail? Oh,
You may, Manager of Infrastructure and Operations, have an answer.
excellent.
The actual dimensions are suitable.
Yes.
A bench sort of being grandfathered from old standards
Yeah.
into the new standards, and it's acceptable. The biggest issue is the pavement down there.
So we've got a 6 tonne at the moment, haven't we?
I think it is, yeah, 5.6 or 6 tonnes.
So, yeah, it looked like that's only 5 kilos or so over, but wingspan I thought might be a problem.
According to, I've sort of sought some advice on this, and it's not an issue.
Right, perfect.
The fuel load, they wouldn't be able to take off with a full fuel load, so they need to obviously come fully fueled and take off. The airstrip's only just long enough for them to take off, maybe with enough fuel to get to their next stop.
Yeah.
But yeah, the pavement is probably the big one, which is a big undertaking to get that up to spec, to take it to the next standard of pavement class with CASA.
I know we had a study done.
We've had a few done, we've had
The more recent one was probably only about 6 years ago.
2017, yeah.
Yeah. So what was the details in that, do you recall?
That the classification of the pavement is accurate as per what's there with CASA's, I think it's PCN4, which is
PCN4 it is, yeah.
their lowest classification. So it does meet that classification. It's not under it by any sort of stretch. But to take it to the next classification is it's quite a significant undertaking just with the area required to thicken the pavement. It would be.
It was costed at about 11 million back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was a few options, depending on, we'd probably do a bit more investigation into what the best methodology would be, but it would be in the order of millions, like starting at 4 if we were to come up with something super clever. Or,
It'd likely be around 11 to 13 again, probably.
yeah, it wouldn't be cheap.
Reality is that, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting though, but I mean, they've got to have a minimum 45 minutes and a minimum to the nearest runway. I'm just trying to think where the nearest runway would be.
For,
That's the minimum fuel requirement.
oh, right.
So coming to Strawn, they've got to have 45 minutes
Mhm.
plus option to the nearest runway should weather
of
stop,
course.
right? That's the minimum requirement to take off.
Yeah.
Would be the closest, wouldn't it?
I don't know where the next closest would
It'd
be.
have to be.
Burnley, or Wynyard.
Wynyard, probably.
So
So they'd be carrying. Shit.
I
They'd
didn't
be
run
right on the money, wouldn't they? They'd be right on the takeoff load.
I didn't put it through the lens of the Queenstown airstrip in this exercise, and it looked at it in that regard. It's like fairly, needs a lot of work.
They won't land there now with their current aircraft.
Right,
Yeah.
But in terms of the pavement, that's the pavement's more suitable there, even if it's.
Well, we got 1,400 down there in Strawn, haven't we? But we only use functionally 800 at the moment, don't we?
1220, the length is.
1220 total, or
That's the length of the Strawn Airport, 18 metres wide.
we
We were looking at some potential pathways and at RFDS, they did allude to different possibilities for funding of it.
Federal funding,
Broader
yeah.
Conversation.
So we're effectively 800 kilos over.
Yeah, and it's not,
That's without fuel.
I think the margin for the risk profile, especially during winter months, is fairly real in terms of the strength of the pavement.
Yeah.
Because it's basically sitting on peat, once that's saturated, the strength of the pavement's probably, yeah, it's pretty marginal.
So this is a very real issue for us in a very short period of time.
Potentially, depending on the delivery model of how RFDS and ambulance towns want to deliver that service here.
January 26 is what they're suggesting, aren't they? So pressure's on. Yeah. All right, thank you, really appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks, Kerry. Any other question, no other questions on notice? Questions without notice? Councillor Mackay.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Following my question in the September ordinary meeting pertaining to the damage caused due to the severe weather events, I seek updates and the likely opening of the following locations that we manage on behalf of Parks and Wildlife Services. 1 Macquarie Heads Road, 2 Hogarth Falls, 3 Montezuma Falls. Also, can the details of the arrangement between Council and Parks and Wildlife relating to these areas be relayed to councillors?
Through you, man. With regards to Montezuma Falls, that is a Parks owned and managed asset. We just market that, I believe. They've got a fair bit of work to do in there that's going to require mobilising some fairly serious earth moving equipment. They haven't been able to give me an exact date, but yes, it would be within the next 2 months, they're hopeful. So there's no official real answer on that, so I'm unwilling to share their, information too publicly, but they're still waiting on a few things to fall into place to get that reopened.
Can we communicate that it is closed within the region? As a tourism operator, I've not been informed that
I believe I
is
just had an
still
email
closed.
from Ron, and she's putting out some comms via the Leaders Information Centre tomorrow.
Parks is responsible
Yeah.
for notifying on closures for this asset and for Hogarth Falls, but we have asked the Visitor Information Centre in Strawn to share that information with operators.
I think we probably should advocate with Parks their communication, because if it comes out from council, people are feeling that council own it and it'll be knocked back from us. We need to advocate that parks need to get better with their communications. They're forever not communicating on closures of different assets of theirs around the West Coast, and I think it's probably time that we write to the minister, given that I don't think we're getting any show from people on the ground. And we'll go straight to the top and let him know that communication from parks on the West Coast is pretty non-existent for the local community when it comes to closing their assets.
On the website for Parks, Montezuma's is closed as an alert,
Yep.
but Hogarth Falls is not.
With regards to Hogarth Falls, the crew is going out there tomorrow to finish clearing that. So pending anything unexpected, be open at the end of the week. And Macquarie Heads, we have a works authority. It's a bit complex, that one, because it passes through forestry land and parks land. So forestry have given us the okay, just waiting on an answer back from Aboriginal Heritage. It's not a desktop assessment.
Is there any way to put a temporary road at Macquarie Heads?
This is for a temporary road, just to
Right.
clear some additional vegetation inland and push it away, which will get us a couple of years out of it and look at a more permanent arrangement with some funding support.
Thank you.
Do you have a second question?
I
please?
do. Can councillors receive an update to the Strawn Waterfront project and how plans are developing?
So that's in a commercial in confidence situation at the moment, so I won't provide an update in open session.
Thank you.
We'll defer that till closed.
Any other questions without notice, councillors? No motions without notice? We have one motion on notice, a motion from councillor Hamer. A motion to identify and have better directional signage for our tourists and locals in Strawn area. There has been none, especially for no-through roads. Due to a mishap on Trafford Street where it becomes a sandy track and inaccessible for more than one vehicle at any time, the track goes nowhere but entraps tourists looking for Hogarth Falls. As recent bulk tourists, this truly is something that we can help with, as it is our responsibility to allow safe driving and information regarding roads and looking after our visitors and locals, ensuring they are made aware of roads going nowhere and where things are. Tourist information should be a treasure hunt or cause grief through lack of signage. For your consideration, councillors. Moved councillor Hamer. Have we got a second there, councillor, for discussion? Second councillor Stringer. Open for discussion, councillors.
I thought there was a sorry, through you, Mayor, I thought there was a no-through road on Trafford Street.
If I can
There is.
update, there is currently advanced directional signage and a no-through road sign. The no-through road sign could potentially be obstructed by the power pole, and the advanced warning sign could be better positioned on the other side of the road. We could do investigation of a change of placement if that's what council decides.
The main issue is Google Maps send you up there rather than to Hogarth Falls. It's been an issue that's come to the council table previously, and a blue directional sign has been erected to push people past to Hogarth Falls. It's on the opposite side of that intersection, but the issue is to get the dot point changed through Google Maps.
We can look at.
We could take that on notice, I guess. and
It's not
see
the
what-
motion in front of us, is it? The
No.
motion in front of us is a little bit of signage for our tourists and local and no-through roads. So the no-through road sign is there, the directional sign is there.
Not much more really we can do apart from maybe
And there's
relocating the directional sign. No through road sign.
Councillor Homer would have to amend her motion for that. So. She's not here to do
No.
so.
No, well,
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. You second it, Scott?
Yeah, just for discussion, mate, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I'm hearing
you're
you.
right,
well, we had the
not here.
discussion, we believe that there's a sign there in place. We believe that the no through sign is there and the directional signage is there, so,
Put it to the vote, Mayor.
put to the vote. So, all those in favour? Against? Against it is. Okay. Item 341 is Mayor and Councillors' diaries and communications. Council resolved that the Mayor's and Councillors' diaries and communications as presented be noted. Any discussions on any of them, councillors? No. Okay, we'll keep moving. Item 342 is Council resolved to note the following workshops were conducted by Council since the last ordinary meeting, which was today. Cradle Coast Authority, Joe Coates from Education Department, Jane Hall Dabson from UTAS on her project, and the community plan update from ERA, and then we had the citizenship ceremony. No discussions on that, councillors. Item 343 is Council Decision Status Report. Action item of open council meeting discussions, decisions be received. Any discussions on any of them matters, councillors?
Through you, Mayor.
Yes,
I see we've got a consultant now to potentially provide us with costings for Harold Street. For what we were looking at doing at Harold Street. Getting a full GO of that, so we've got someone interested.
Through you, Mayor, I have engaged someone on a preliminary basis to provide some advice, just from a traffic engineering point of view, and that'll give us a good indication of which way to go. Bring that to.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any others, councillors?
Through you, Mayor.
Yes, councillor McKay.
Page 14, the update on the establishment of the Student Advisory Council. This is such a valuable resource to engage with the youth. Have we got any updates on that, especially after having Joe here at workshop?
Yes.
Sorry. It was a useful discussion with Joe Coates today. Within council, we have worked to simplify the process and make it less intimidating for students in terms of not having to necessarily present to council. Joe has helpfully suggested we speak to the leadership meeting across all schools to be able to get them on board. And we're looking at packages that can be provided to the students who've nominated to provide a little bit of a bonus as well and encourage their participation. So it's something we would like to see the youth in the community participate in and bring them some value from it as well.
Absolutely.
Thanks, councillor. Any other?
Yeah, through you.
Question,
Yeah,
yes.
The parking at the Strawn School, looks like
Beat me.
it's some engagement, but do we have an outcome here?
Through that, I met with Catherine last week, just to get a more detailed understanding of what the issues are. So I've got some key points that she brought to the table. We'll probably just work through that in a staged kind of approach, just to treat the immediate sort of issues and sort of resolve it in a staged kind of way, I think.
I know they've got bugger all parking, that's for sure.
It's a very small site which limits options for staff and parents as well.
Yeah, it's a dangerous spot though.
The main issue there, Aaron, was that one space was taken from the medical centre, which seemed to then create a bigger bottleneck on the area. But if Harold Street proceeds, that will be a thoroughfare, so we need to get that traffic management control in place.
Yeah.
Any other questions, councillors? No. Item 344 is council resolve that council committee report as presented be noted. We have none. Item 345 is general manager's report. That the general manager's report as presented be noted. Any discussions on that, councillors? Yes, councillor Gay.
Page 24 is the council facilities. Can I inquire to the Strawn Recreational Hall whether that venue will be available for hire until the new all-purpose centre is opened in 2025?
That's my understanding, yes.
Beautiful. So the CWA ladies will be able to have their Christmas dinner in the hall?
That is absolutely my understanding, and I will go to the CWA directly if that shifts. I think there may have been some confusion around that booking.
Thank you. It's a valuable event for all of the community, the Christmas dinner that the CWA hold.
Councillor McCarthy, can I take that further? There is no change to the use of that building to the CWA, is that correct?
So there's two buildings. There's the senior citizen building. There's no change to that. The CWA building will be removed once the Strawn and Rec Centre is finished.
I thought they were one in the same.
The rec hall.
No, the rec hall.
The rec hall.
The rec hall, CWA operates out of the Senior Six building.
Yeah.
It is the senior
But it's the rec hall where they have the dinner.
Right.
Yeah,
So
the
there's no
luncheon.
issue to the senior
Yeah.
sits.
So,
So it's a rec hall Christmas dinner question.
Yes.
Right. Yes. So the rec hall will go
there we go.
at the end, but there is no change to the senior citizen
No,
building.
so I was confused. It was,
But they have
Thank
their
you.
Christmas dinner at the hall.
At the hall because they have too many people to fit into the senior
Senior
six
citizen.
building.
we ought to be open with the Strawn Centre by then.
Unlikely to be, not for the Christmas dinner.
So then they do need to find another venue then, don't they?
But not this year,
No.
as in,
Or the rec hall will still be there.
The rec hall
So
is still
the
there.
rec hall will still be there.
Yeah, right.
Still there at the
Until
moment.
the new centre opens.
Yeah.
And we will confirm if that changes, but that is my understanding.
thank you.
Any other discussions on the general manager's report, councillors? I've just got one. I just noticed that the West Coast Suicide Prevention Network pulled out of there. So that event never went on?
No, there were other challenges they had with the event at the end.
Right,
And so it didn't go forward, so they'll be returning the funds.
no worries.
Through you, Mayor. Just on page 28, total assets have increased by roughly 11 million. Is that the addition of the landfill to the list, or is there anything else in amongst that?
My understanding that would be the landfill.
Landfill.
That's about it, that's all there, because,
That'd be the major one, yeah.
yeah. Can I also ask, we've got a budget of, nearly $30 million, or probably nearly $40 million less than our actuals each year. What's the difference? We budget for 159 and our actuals always come around about $40 million more. Are we just having a bet each one? What's the...
Through Randy, what can happen is that it's timing of when the money's spent, so some stuff might get carried forward to the next year.
Yeah.
The also thing with budgets is generally it is better to come under budget than over budget,
For sure.
but we'd probably be looking as part of next year's budget process to streamline what we do to look at what our actuals are,
Yep.
so we're budgeting more realistically.
I agree,
I
100%.
think that a variation of about 5% is fine, but not if it's a big amount.
And they are here consistently, so yeah.
Because we're rating based on what we're estimating our budget to be, so
Yes.
therefore, in some ways, we're potentially overrating because of that. So we need to bring that back in line.
Great, thank you.
Okay, keep moving in, councillors. If there's no other questions, we don't need to move it for noting. Item 346 is outstanding advocacy correspondence. Council resolved that the outstanding advocacy correspondence as presented be noted. Any questions on that, councillors? Okay, we've got correspondence. Council resolves that the correspondence, both incoming and outgoing as presented, be noted. So we have got some correspondence in that we might need to respond to. So there was Department of State Growth regarding the potholes on Murchison Highway. Do we need to follow up email on that? I have followed up an email with Fiona McLeod, which I haven't had any response to, with regard to the latest letter we got back from the Secretary, Craig Limpkin, said that follow up with her if there needed more information, but I still haven't received any information from her after a recent email I sent regarding we haven't seen a lot of work happening on the Murchison or the Ridgely highways with regard to the potholes. So I'll follow up again with her, find out where the response is. There's also the Royal Flying Doctors, the upcoming federal election. They've asked for some, I guess, you know, as Councillor Graham mentioned earlier with his question on notice regarding funding for airstrip upgrades to the Strawn airstrip. I guess it's probably something which we could endorse.
So, yeah, if you were agreeable, I can to progress initial discussions, I think we should write back to them there and say, please do.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think we should. Well, we definitely need to, given the fact that it is something that's required on the West Coast for Royal Flying Doctors, and doesn't, you know, depending on what their outcome with the ambulance TAS is. I know that they use the helicopter more often than what they use the Flying Doctor now, but that could change in the future as well. So I think we should, every option we've got is certainly to write back to Royal Flying Doctor Service and suggest that we'd happy to work with them to find the funding required. If everyone's in agreement.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely.
And also a letter from Senator Anne Urquhart on our current priorities, which we've have put a list together on our current priorities for the upcoming federal election.
Where can we put that airstrip on and up on that
Yes,
priority?
that's probably,
Yeah.
probably, yep. By all means, it probably should go on that list. It's a new,
End up, because we've got 14 months
yeah,
before the first planes, you know, are up in the air. So.
yep. So does anyone have any, well, we've seen our priority list has been out for a while now. Has anyone got any updates that they'd like to see on that? I guess if you can relay that back to the General Manager so that we can add to that list as well. I'm not sure when she's 15th, yeah, so the 15th of November, so we'll need to get it in before then to the General Manager. But, you know, we have got a lot of things that we've been talking about over the last few months as well, housing, our telecommunication networks, the Wilderness Centre, so there's a few that are on the high end that we'd like to see, the Marine Study Centre, yes, so there's a few there that, and if any others that people can think of, have thought of since our original list come out, please, yeah, get back to the General Manager. Okay, we've got item 3, acceptance of the late item. Is council resolved by absolute majority to consider the following matters as a late item. Hang on, where am I? That should be, I've missed it. It should be in the General Manager report. Oops. Item 345B24, General Manager report, Customer and Corporate Service Financial Report Grant Summary. The grant summary was not available at the time of the agenda. Copy of grant summary is provided for inclusion into the financial report section of the agenda. Someone like to move?
I'll move that way.
Move councillor Newman, second councillor Butterfield. Put to a vote, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. So, that was acceptance of the late item.
Yep.
Okay, and we've also got a acceptance of the late item for 347A, which is council resolved by absolute majority to consider the following matters for discussion in late items, which is a late correspondence from Jason Jacoby, Parks and Wildlife Service regarding recreational gill netting, and also an attachment one, which is a letter from Dr. David Midson around resource services. Someone like to move that way, please? Move councillor Stringer, second councillor Jordan. Put to a vote, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Any discussions on any of them, councillors? Okay. Item 348 is council expenses and allowance policy review. Recommendation is that council approve and adopt the WCC.006 council expenses and allowance policy version 6. Someone like to move that way, please, councillors? Move councillor Graham, seconded councillor Butterfield. Excuse me, open for discussions, councillors. Any discussions on that?
Straightforward, isn't it?
Yeah, well, wasn't many changes, so.
Minimal changes.
Yep.
All dictated, isn't it?
Put to a vote then, all in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Item 349 is gifts and donations, councillors. Recommendation is that council A, approve and adopt policy WCC.007 gifts and donations, councillors, version 2, or B, refer to council workshop for further review. Someone like to move either option, please, councillors?
I'll move A. Yeah.
Move. Councillor Graham moved A. Councillor Newman seconded A. Open for discussions, councillors. Any discussions? Just a minor. In the background, this policy was introduced to enable 2 councillors, so that second 2 probably needs to be removed. Any other discussions, councillors? All happy? We'll put to the vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Item 350 is dog management policy review. Recommendation is council A, approve and adopt the revised policy WCC 014 dog management policy. Someone like to move that way, please, councillors? Move councillor Butterfield, seconded councillor Jordan. Open for discussions, councillors. Any discussions on the matter? No? We'll put to a vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Item 351 is report on government business enterprises rate equivalent payments and rating of wind farms and renewable energy operators. Recommendation is that Council A co-sponsor the Central Highlands Council the 2 motion submission listed below to be presented to the Local Government Association of Tasmania on the 21st of November 2024. Motion 1 is government business enterprise rate equivalent payments that the Local Government Association of Tasmania pursue the Tasmanian Government for the following. 1. Funds received by state government from government business enterprises as rate equivalent payments being the most part distributed to the local government. And motion 2, rating of wind farms, PILOR, that the Local Government Association of Tasmania pursue the Tasmanian Government the following. 1. PILOR rating system on wind farms and solar power generators in Tasmania. And B, formally advise the Central Highlands Council of council decision outcome relating to recommendation A of this report. Someone like to move that way, please. Move Councillor Graham, second Councillor Jordan. Over for discussions, Councillor.
Through you, Mayor, if I can add some late items, we've had advice from LGAT that there's a possibility that they will not accept the motion as pursuant to their rules. They may not choose to include it given the subject matter has been considered at a general meeting held in the period 12 months before the date of notice from member. They are continuing to consider that and have said that they'll provide advice this week on whether the motions will be accepted for discussion. LGAT will be accepted for discussion at the general meeting.
It's fine, or we can, if we move now, we can move it to next year, to the next general meeting anyway, if we,
When's that general meeting, when's the next?
that's November 21st. But I guess, just in context to this, we did write to Central Highlands and Kentish Council 2 years ago with no reply with regard to exactly the same, more around advocacy with the state government rather than through LGAT. We had no reply from both them councils at the time. Recently had discussions with the Mayor of Kentish. She was unaware that we'd...
Been written to her.
Oh, well, it wasn't her at that stage, it was a different mayor. But it's ironic that they've finally seen, the advocacy we've been in the media recently around the hydro, that they've finally, and I think they've had some changes with management at Central Highlands that have seen that it is probably something which they as a council should be looking at as well. So, I think it's time that all councillors do get together and fight these GBEs, or not fight, but advocate that we need to get our fair share of the income.
They'd stand to be under a fair bit too, wouldn't they?
Yes, yeah, for sure, especially, and they've seen it from their Cattle Hill wind farm that wind farm recently, so...
Are they paying them anything? They're not. No.
And through you, Mayor, there's also a lot of work being done with Circular Head Council. They've just had a response from the Office of Valuer General, who has indicated they're going to commence stakeholder engagement with councils and others on some of the valuation property classification codes, particularly around energy generation, including hydroelectricity generation and wind farm and solar generation. So they should be coming up with a lot of consultation processes, which will give us another opportunity to advocate and to work with like-minded councils to advocate.
Which I guess that's one thing that we have advocated with the Valuer General around rating wind farms as well. So in the past, so I guess it's disappointing they haven't come straight back to us and have gone through other avenues. But as long as it's happening, that's the main thing.
Can I step back? We got a motion on the table and we're discussing it, but LGAT will only work through motions put up at their general meeting for the following 12 months.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't understand that. Right. So can we amend that motion to be put on the table as a motion for them to consider in their next annual general meeting?
So that's what they're doing at the moment, but there is a rule that they're able to refuse to put it on because the subject matter has been considered in the past 12 months. And there was a motion at the March meeting this year on similar issues. So the March general meeting was that LGAT lobbied the state government to amend legislation to include electricity generation and storage plant and equipment in capital valuation, and to allow energy sector developments to make appropriate payments in lieu of rates under a regulated formula subject to indexation, consisting of a fixed payment per site and a variable payment based on installed capacity, and then a couple of other elements to that motion.
That motion doesn't mention payment to local government, does it?
No. No. It says council can review our progress on this resolution with the follow-up motion report that will be attached to the November general meeting agenda.
What was the outcome of that motion?
Well, that motion was supported
Supported.
in March.
Yeah, it was supported in March, so.
So the chances are they won't accept it.
And we may not need to, if, depending on what they've got in that report.
What benefit is it to us in passing this motion if they've already got one on the table?
I guess if, that report doesn't come back with the information that councils are happy with, then we could put this one on the table for the next 12 months.
So I'll just go back and read that motion. Yeah, but this does take that much further than that other motion.
Yeah, so the
We're
other,
saying we wanted the funds distributed to us.
Yeah,
and that first motion is separate in that it asks that. So the motion from March is about asking generators to pay rates equivalents.
Yep.
This motion is about taking the funds that
Yep.
they're already paying to state government and distributing them to
local
council.
government.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, well, I'll stand with it.
I still think that we should use every opportunity to advocate and to put our case out there.
Absolutely.
We mightn't get it tomorrow, but by joining this and joining these other two councils, there may be more councils that come on and realise the potential benefit for their areas.
Yeah. All right.
any other discussions, councillors? No, we'll put to a vote, all those in favour?
Aye.
Against, carried. Item 352. 352 is the CCTV project community feedback. Recommendation is that Council A note the community feedback to the survey, the introduction of CCTV cameras in West Coast towns, and B approve to progress the Legat CCTV project. Someone like to move that way, please? Move Councillor Stringer, second to Councillor Newman. Go over for discussions, councillors. Any discussions on that? No discussions? Good feedback from, good majority, well, 73% of majority for it, so which is good.
And it might help curb some of the vandalism in some areas, or some of the antisocial behaviour.
Absolutely.
And it does do highlight that there is people did ask for other cameras in other locations, and I guess these locations were chosen given that they are the high vandalism areas, and there's no reason why in the future other areas can't be increased. Cameras can be added to this as well moving forward.
And that benefit mentioned by GM, that they do carry the Wi-Fi, so it gives us ability to give community Wi-Fi.
By all means, yes. Okay, any other discussions, councillors? Put to a vote, all those in favour? Against, carried. Item 353 is a review of the West Coast Council gym fees. Recommendation is the council adopt the following fees and charges for the usage of the gymnasium for the remainder of 24-25 financial year. So membership categories as listed. I won't read them all out. Someone like to move that way, please, councillors? Move Councillor Graham, second to Councillor Butterfield. Open for discussions, councillors.
I asked a friend of mine, through you, Mayor, I asked a friend of mine what the average cost around Hobart, and he goes to the gym every day, and he said those that have a steam room and sauna are generally between $800 and $1,200 a year. He said around about the cheapest would be around about $600 a year, so we're well below. That's a single person.
Yep.
So that's a very reasonable price, $265 for those that I've never Never paid a gym membership. Well, he certainly has.
You wouldn't know, councillor Crone, you wouldn't know.
But it is one thing that a lot of people that travel down here, drive in, drive out, that use the gyms are
Yeah.
appreciative of the minimal charges that the fees are, or the memberships are, so,
And it shows in the high.
and they
rate
use it
of-
every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, true, yeah, man,
Just
this is
ensure that
just
we-
about dealing with the administrative problems with managing the access card deposits,
Yes,
so.
Yeah.
it's
and not
reasonable.
having to pay that deposit, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
probably beneficial for the end user as well, so I think it's, and not for minimal
Yeah, that's right.
outlay.
And just ensuring we maintain the equipment within those gyms with the price
Yeah.
increase.
Okay, no other discussions, council, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Against, carried. Matters proposed, so item 354 is matters proposed for closed session. Council may, by absolute majority, close the meeting, So matters 354, that items 356 to 364 discussed by council in closed session. Someone like to move that way, please? Move councillor Jordan, second councillor Mackay. Put to a vote, all those in favour? Against, carried. Item 355 is council resolved by absolute majority to go into closed session to consider the following matters, time being 6:06. Someone like to move that way, please? Move councillor Stringer, second councillor Butterfield. Put to the vote, all those in favour? Against, carried.